What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Bare Necessity TCG, and today we are going to be talking about why you might be destined to fail when it comes to selling trading cards on TCGPlayer or eBay, Instagram, whatnot. Basically, any place that you go and you buy and sell trading cards. But before we get into it, I'd like to thank my subscribers, the people that stuck around. I'm sure people have noticed. If not, maybe you're new here. I stopped uploading about 3 months ago. I stopped making videos. I didn't go on Instagram anymore. And then I also stopped uploading cards to sell on my TCGPlayer and eBay store. I just completely shut down shop. Occasionally I would get some orders from the cards that I already had that were posted, but we're talking, they're far and few between, maybe a couple a week that I sent out. But I was trying to figure out what to do with my channel, my business. I was thinking about selling it or just clicking delete everywhere, like delete the YouTube channel, delete my TCGPlayer account, and just walk away completely. But as you see, I have this room. I have stuff. I have followers. I have a pretty good business plan. So I was trying to think of what would be my next move. Would I buy some cards? Would I open them? Would I list them? Would I make more YouTube videos? What would those YouTube videos be? And the only thing I kept thinking about was failure. And I like to believe that I have failed successfully. And at the end of the video, we'll talk about that more after we get into why I think you might be destined to fail if you start a TCG business. I've broken these things down into just 3 main topics. There are other small things that really got to me. For example, organizing the room, because I don't have a warehouse or anything. This is a room inside my house that's dedicated to cards. Also, shipping. When people order huge amounts of common cards and I have to, find a box and go ship them, and dealing with customer returns or my card's damaged, my card didn't arrive, things like that. There's other small things, but I picked the 3 most critical things why I believed that I failed, and, what led up to it, what were those main contributors, and it's going to be universal to everyone, even you watching. These 3 things are going to happen to you. So let's get into number 1. You might be destined to fail if you are a collector or player of the trading card game that you are selling. So for me, I started this channel with Pokemon. It was more of a nostalgia thing. I wasn't playing the game. I wasn't collecting. I used to collect when I was a kid. Everything was going great. I had a lot of cards, a lot of fun playing the game with all my friends. Moved. My mom sold all the cards. I don't even know if she sold them. They probably ended up at Goodwill. So it's probably the same story that a lot of people around my age, have. And then they want that feeling back. Strangely enough, Pokemon was not my first TCG. It was Magic the Gathering. And I was playing that probably when I was like 6 or 7 years old. With my uncle and my cousins and things like that. But I told myself I wasn't going to do Magic. So I did Pokemon. Everything was great. Got boxes. I was opening them. Everything was new. I couldn't pronounce the name of some of these new Pokemon. I was excited. And I'm like, I know that one. I got one of those. This is great. And then I would just go sell them. And I'd sell them and I'd buy more. And then I would just repeat that process. Everything was going great. I was making videos. The subscriber count was ticking up. And then, I got to 1,000 subs, and then money started coming in. It's not a lot, but still, it's something. But then I was like, well, it's a business. And I was noticing that Pokemon was kind of hit or miss. It wasn't the best value for me opening packs and selling. So I started doing some market research. Then I found Digimon, and I'm like, well, Digimon came out, in my childhood also. So that could be cool. So I got Digimon, then I started selling that. And then I started getting other things. Again, more research. Lorcana came out. That was a lot of money in the beginning. So I was selling a bunch of those because I found some booster boxes. Everything's just going great at this point. Then I started finding some more cards on discount that I'd sell. Battle Spirit Saga came out, and Nobody wanted those boxes. I was getting boxes for like $15 for a booster box, but there were cards that were selling. So I was making a lot of money on that. And then Shadowverse Evolve, I was like, I don't know what this is. So I got that, and that turned into a lot of profit too. And I did this with so many games. I tested with Yu-Gi-Oh, which I only got one booster box, but I tested with all these different games. And now that I had all these games, I was like, you know what? Starter decks are cheap. So then I got a one-piece starter deck, and I played that. And I was like, oh, I can make a deck out of this. So as I was opening boxes, I started holding on to, Nami cards and everything. I'm like, I can make a Nami deck. And then I was like, you know what? Lorcana. I like Tangled. Tangled's like one of my favorite Disney movies. So I started making, a deck with, based around Tangled and things. And then I started holding on cards for that. Then Battle Spirits. I was like, it's $15 a box. So I made a deck for that. Again, holding cards. And then I was like, Pokemon. I need something with Pokemon. So I was like, well, I don't really want to play it just because their app is good. I play on my iPad. It's fun. So I was like, well, how about collecting? So I was like, okay, I'm going to start collecting. So I started picking some Pokemon that I like, and I'm like, I'm going to collect them. I picked a trainer. I was like, I'm going to collect Sabrina cards because they're vintage, a lot of them. And then I was going to, for some reason, I just like Jinx. So I was like, I'm going to start collecting Jinx cards. It's not a lot of money. But then I started keeping all those cards, and I started making decks, and I started theorizing, and a lot of my time went to doing a lot of research on combos and the meta and all that stuff. And so my sales declined a lot because I was holding on to cards. For example, I have one right here that I should have sold and I didn't. So I pulled this out of don't remember, but I have a video on it. I never got a box for this, for Fusion Strike, so it had to have came from one of those those V boxes. I love those things with the big jumbo cards. So it probably came out of there, and I'm holding on to it. I don't know why. That wasn't even an original one that I was collecting, or I wanted to collect, and it's worth quite a bit of money, and it's there, and there's a bunch of those cards that I pulled that I just didn't sell for no reason. They're just sitting in my closet. They're not on display. They're just there. So again, money is just, it wasn't that I was bleeding money and losing money. Like, that's not the case. I was still making money as I was going. It just wasn't to a business level. It could be a lot more. I could have more profits, which mean more booster boxes, which mean more profits or more expansions, maybe an upgraded camera or an upgraded microphone or, a new desk. It could have been anything. But instead, I just have it. I didn't even send it off to get graded. It's just there. So, but that's what happens. So if you actually play and collect the one you're selling, let's say it's Magic the Gathering. Let's say you're always making decks for Magic the Gathering. You're holding all those back. You are headed for failure. Yes, there's different degrees. Maybe you only have that one deck and you only upgrade it, once a year or something with a couple new cards. But let's be real. Very rarely does someone have just one deck that they play and they just keep upgrading. They usually have a lot. So they're holding a lot of cards back, playing with those cards, risking that they could get damaged because any little dent, ding, anything might lower the value. And then you might have to deal with people returning them saying, hey, you said it was near mint, but it has a tiny little scratch in the corner or a little whitening on the edges. I want my money back. So that was kind of the downfall, the start. It took a while because I was still playing the games and loving it. But that was the start of the downfall of my business and channel, is when I actually started playing all of these games. So advice, I never even thought about having an advice after these failures, these 3 failures. But now thinking about it off the top of my head, the only way to really combat that is sell a game that you don't play. If you're a Magic player, go sell Pokemon. If you're a Pokemon player, go sell Digimon. However you want to do it. That way there's not an attachment to all those cards, all the profit that you could be getting. And then you can take that profit and you can roll it into the game that you actually play if you want. That wasn't my business plan. I wanted to make money and I wanted to sell the cards to roll it into my investment account, which will fuel my retirement. That's what all this was about. It was a good way of having fun with the card game and fueling this retirement that I'm just probably never going to get from working a regular job. So, leads me into number 2 of the possible failures that you're destined to experience while selling trading cards. And that's going to be opening packs and getting those big hits lose their meaning. And what I mean by that is, you get a booster box, you're a player or collector, let's say. I bought this when it came out, and I just never opened it. It was supposed to be a video, but this was during the time that I was like, I'm just going to quit. But let's say you buy this. You bought it for, let's say, $90. You got it on some sale, and then you open it, and then you get a big hit. That's, let's say, $200. You love it. You're a collector, you're a player, you love it. You sleeve that bad boy up, throw it in a top loader, send it off to PSA maybe, and then mount it on your wall somewhere and put it on display. And you're just excited. Everything's just so excited. You're like, oh my God, you might stand up and just cheer, and you're just so pumped. You tell your friends, guess what I pulled? Or does anyone want to trade this for some valuable cards that I want? Like, all these emotions go, and you're like, I am one of so many people that got this. Or maybe you're the first one. There's, again, so many emotions running through your head when you open up and get that big hit. Or even when you just get a booster box, because it's like new cards are coming. I've never seen these. I've never played with these. New abilities, new alt arts, all these things. And you get really excited. And I know you've experienced it if you're a player or a collector. Almost everyone's experienced that. And if you haven't, you can experience it through other people, other people's YouTube channel. You can tell. If they're a seller like me, we don't get as excited when we pull a big hit. But if you're a collector, someone who's like, oh, maybe I only get a couple booster boxes when they released, you can see that excitement on their face when they get that big hit. And there's a reason for this. So for sellers like me, who again, it was buy sealed product, open product, list it, ship it, get money and repeat. And that's what I was doing. Not to mention, I wasn't even using my own money. I was opening credit cards, because when you open a credit card, some of those have a promotion where maybe you might spend $500 on the credit card within the first couple months. They give you $150, just free money. I mean, it comes as a credit to pay down the bill, but it's still $150. So I would do that. I would go and I would get, I would open credit cards. I've opened so many credit cards. And then I would buy booster boxes and then, get that credit. So I was doing that repeatedly. I'm already saying I'm going to make another video. I guess that's a good sign for my channel. But I think that's worth a video to go through the exact steps of starting from absolute zero money and then building the business. But moving on, why does it lose its meaning and joy and everything? It's because these cards start to not becoming... You stop seeing them as cards. You stop seeing it as a game or a collection. You just see a dollar monetary value on a piece of paper as you open it. So, for example, I could be opening it, and then this came, because I wasn't even too excited when I hit this, out of a $20 box that I got. But when this came along, all I was like, okay, that's $200. Why am I going to get excited for that? It's $200, because when you start opening product and selling it, sometimes you lose $50 on a booster box. Sometimes you get, $150 in profit. Sometimes, and it's this up and down. And then on top of that, if I sell it on TCGPlayer, they take a cut. So I'm just using round numbers. Let's say it's $200. I don't think it is, but if it's $200, TCGPlayer might take, I don't know, $20, and then you have to ship it, which is another like $7 because you have to have tracking. It really depends where it goes. And then top load, like all these things. But in the end, it wasn't that I just pulled $200 out of thin air. First of all, I buy the booster box or the box that it came in. You have to figure that into the price. And you open so many boxes, you get so many hits. I've gotten so many hits, $100 cards, plus, and they immediately get sold, or most of them. For some reason, Pokemon have been holding on to them, but they just immediately get sold. It means nothing. So there's no joy. It's just basically an Excel spreadsheet in your head that's like, okay, I was down $125 on this box. Oh, I got this card. Now I broke even, and I got this card. Oh, the $10 more there, and it's just not as oh. That's what happens when you do it all in one take. You start coughing, can't breathe. But that's what happens when you have a business like this. When you start opening and selling, I opened about, I think it was like 100 booster boxes of Digimon. I forgot what the versus Royal Knights. I think it was about 100 boxes of that. I did not care when I pulled an $80 card. I was just like, my hands hurt, everything hurts. I'm just trying to get through this completely. But yeah, there's no advice for that one either, because it just goes back to don't sell what you love collecting or playing, because then at that point, who cares? It's that a card comes and it's just money that you set, or future money. You sell it, you get it, and then you save the game you like collecting or playing, and just don't sell that. So when you open a booster box of, let's say you're a Magic player, and you're selling Pokemon, when you go back to opening Magic, you will get excited. You're like, oh my God, I got the hit. This is perfect. I love it. And then you go to Pokemon and you're like, whatever, Charizard's great. We're just going to sell all those every day. I mean, that's the only way I guess you can get around it. But leads me to the next and final reason why you might be destined to fail in your trading card business. And that is, it's more time consuming than you could even imagine. If you haven't done it, or if you've only done it on a small scale where you just sell a couple cards here and there, you don't understand how much time. So I have a regular full-time job, just a regular 9 to 5 that I go to. When I was full steam in my business and YouTube, it was actually, it started before I even got off work. A lot of the times on the big orders, I'd have to drive to the post office or a drop-off box before I got to work, because they don't fit in my complex's, mail slot. So I have to do that. And then occasionally I might have to stop to get more stamps, or I might have to stop to get more packing material. I might have to stop to go to a certain sale that maybe Barnes & Noble or Target or Walmart's having to get more inventory and envelopes, like all these things. So then I would do that before work, sometimes, during my lunch break. And then you might think, oh, just buy it in bulk. I did. And I ran out. It happens. You run out of things, but you got orders that you have to ship. But 5 o'clock came. I was like, all right, I got to drive home. Depending on traffic, might take, an hour. I get home and immediately I have to log on to go pack up orders and send them. And then on top of that, I have to start opening cards and keeping the inventory updated. That was basically a daily thing. You think, oh, you might be able to get cases of cards and yeah, you'll open them up when they get. No, you won't. No. I mean, maybe if it is your full-time job, but I get exhausted from opening booster boxes. So, and on top of that, you forget about the little things. You open booster boxes, you have to sort them, and then do the research, how much they cost, and then list them, and then, not just sort them, but organize them. Where are they actually going to be? I have them all over the place. There's a closet that's just filled with boxes and boxes and boxes that some are organized, some aren't. You have to keep track of all these things, and then pulling these cards. Yeah, someone orders like $100 card that's just one single card. Easy, grab it. They're usually sectioned off when they're higher value. Easy, grab it, put it in there. Someone orders 75 cards filled with commons, uncommons. Some people have a mix of Lorcana and Pokemon and Digimon all in one order, and you have to grab all those together. And it's not a quick thing. You don't just go grab them real quick and throw them, because if you start doing that, then you start sending out the wrong cards, you start forgetting cards, and all of a sudden you start getting returns and bad reviews and upset sellers. So it's an active thing to be pulling all these cards. Then comes the market research. What do you buy? You can't just buy any booster box and open it and try to sell it. Like, you have to do research and time it. Sometimes, for example, with Digimon, there was times when getting the Digimon Classic booster box, which is relatively cheap, it's like $20 to $25 each. Sometimes that was the play. That was the one you got. You found it and it's like, okay, there's a card called Analog Youth. That was going for 10. It was a rare and it was going for $10 at one point. And you can get at least 3 or 4 of them in one booster box. And I was finding them for $20 a booster box. That was just printing money. Because they're rares. You get a lot of rares in a booster box in Digimon. So I would get that on top of the actual, alternate arts and special rares and secret rares and everything like that. And it was just easy money. Another example for Digimon was the gift box for 2023. Right now, not worth it. But at the time, it came with, there were 4 promo cards, and most of them were selling for around $10. There was one that sold for about $5, but then that was a guarantee too, because it's like, well, I'm gonna get that promo card, and sell it for $10, and then I get 5 additional packs, and it's gonna make, again, printing money. But I spent a lot of time researching this, and checking daily. Every time I was at work, I checked all like 10 stores that I have in my favorites to see what was on sale. Then I had to reference a TCGPlayer and eBay, what was selling, how much it was, the odds of pulling those cards, because in my business model, I sell a lot of commons and uncommons and just your regular rares. So I need to know that those uncommons and rares, like there's enough of those inside a set to be worth buying. Like, I'm not gambling. You start gambling, you start losing money is not my motto, but that's what I was living by. You don't want to gamble. You want to make sure the odds are in your favor. And the best way of doing that is finding a booster box of a set that has commons, uncommons, and regular rares that are selling for a decent price. Because odds are you are going to get a lot of those in the booster box. But yes, overall time consuming. And advice for that is you can't get relaxed on your process. If your process is you open the booster box and you sort by alphabetical order, like all the cards as you're opening it, and then however you want to do it, and then you put them together, put them in a certain, corner of your room, and then label it what set it is, or maybe you want to do it by color. Either way, however you want to do it, you can't deviate from that. And you will. You're going to start off perfect, and then all of a sudden you're going to order like 20 booster boxes of something, and you just want to get through it and pull all the rares and list them real quick. And you'll get to the commons, uncommons, and bulk later. And then all of a sudden you end up with a stack like this right here. This stack in the back on that shelf, I pulled all the rares out of those cards, and then now I have to sift through all that bulk. And that's just one of many. The other one over right here, that table, you can't see it, but going, the other way, more stacks and stacks of cards, because I did that too, because I was like, I'm just going to pull the rares real quick and I'll sort them later. And now I have thousands, I think at this point, tens of thousands of cards of bulk that is unsorted because I deviated from the process. Other things you can do is, if you're high volume on Amazon, you can have, you could have envelopes, top loaders, all your shipping stuff automatically send to you on a subscription. Then you won't have to rush to get these things. I mean, that might be it for you also. So, overall, those are the 3 things. Those are the main 3 things. All the other stuff, it's not even that important. Like I said, the upset customers or the storage, you can find solutions around that. There's certain shelving and racks and things that you can get to store your cards. Makes just life easier. You can get a thermal printer. That way printing shipping labels easier. There's so many things you can do. But these 3 things I did not find I didn't find any way to overcome it. And that's what led to ultimately why I failed at this channel and at my TCG player just business. It really is. It was those three things put together that made me fail. It wasn't anything else. It wasn't, oh, Pokemon, there's no value in those cards, or Digimon went down, or maybe one of these card games like Cryptic, for example. Cryptic, I think they're still holding on, but they're basically like they were going out of business and everything. It wasn't an outside factor. It was all me. Again, I can't get over being a collector and player. There's just something in me that wants to collect and play every single card game. And then I can't stay excited for opening booster boxes. I don't know. There's no answer to that. And then the time portion, I can't. I'm gonna try, but I can't with the job that I have. Because also when I say I was doing that, it was really that was my life. I would come home, I couldn't watch TV, and if I did, it was very late at night. Sometimes it'd be like, oh, I can't go hang out with friends because I have to pack up these cards. And you have to pack up the cards. That's one of those things. You can't just be like, oh, I'll do it later. The longer you wait, the more likely they're going to come back and say, I did not get my cards on time, or there's messed up, or something happened, and you're just going to get bad reviews of being a very slow shipper. Like, you really have to send those cards out as they come. Sorry, but like looking at my phone at Duolingo telling me I need to keep learning a language. But actually, let me mute this so that doesn't happen again. So, why do I think that I have failed but successfully? So, even though I talked about all these things, I've still made thousands of dollars in profit. We're not even counting this. I never counted how much I've sold. I really don't care if I've sold $50,000 worth of cards. I only care about what I take home. And I've taken home, I think it's like $7,000 or $8,000 that's sitting in my retirement account from this. And that's not bad. And it was just scaling as it went. It's just, I slowed down and kind of just shut down and stopped. So I can't say I'm a failure. It's not like I lost money. I didn't truly fail in the sense of, oh, I started this business, now I'm stuck with these cards I can't sell. And when I also say I'm up, remember I mentioned I use credit? Everything in this picture in the background, the stuff I didn't, let me just move out of the way so you can see that other middle cubby that has more cards. All those are pure profit. If someone buys something in this room, it's 100% profit at that point, just because I sold the majority of them and got my money back that I put in on the credit cards. Also, another reason why I failed successfully, I think, is my YouTube channel was still showing consistent growth. There was a lot of people watching, leaving comments. I say a lot. We're not talking about tens of thousands. We're talking, hundreds of views, a couple of them that got thousands. But either way, people were watching. And I was still gaining money from that. There was still growth. I was having fun with it. And then lastly, on why I have failed successfully, and I'm leaving that success part in there too, is because technically I haven't fully failed. I didn't close the business down. I'm uploading this video, or I will be. There's still ideas in my head. There's still product out there that I can buy and list on TCGPlayer. There's still a whole room full of cards that I haven't sorted and listed. So overall, for me, it's technically not over. I didn't fail. And if you are on the fence and you found this video because you started and you're just like, why? And you feel like a failure, you're like, why? Like, should I shut down also? Just think about those things. Are you showing growth in the business? Are you really losing money? Did you give up? Obviously not, because you're watching this video. And if you haven't given up, it's not over. So I'm going to try to turn this failed kind of successfully thing into a I succeeded. That is my goal. I really miss this. I really miss talking. I know this is a long video, but there's a lot of opinions and a lot of knowledge and a lot of just things I want to put out in the world, and a lot of goals that I just haven't reached that I want to. And I know this video is probably not going to reach a lot of people because these types of videos are usually good for YouTubers that are really big and disappear, not someone who has, you know, under 2,000. But I hope whoever found this video, you know, it's gonna motivate you to keep going, whether that's trading cards or maybe just something else in your life that you feel like you kind of, you know, that you just gave up on, but you still think there's like a glimmer of hope that you can keep, you know, keep it going. I say just do it. Just keep it going. But I'm going to wrap up the video there. There's going to be a lot more to come. I'm going to break down my selling strategy because, again, if I've made thousands of dollars plus have all this product, I think anyone else could do it too, following the same model. So I'm probably going to do a stream of shorter videos, maybe 10 minutes each, on different tactics. For example, one would be funding. Like, how do you fund your trading card collection? Because I don't believe you should dip into your current collection. I do think you should use the credit card method. There are a lot of pitfalls in that, though, that I'd like to talk about. But then moving on to what should you buy, maybe analyzing a set and be like, whoa, stay away from that set. But this is what you're looking for in a set that you need to buy booster boxes for. And at what price point do you buy them at? And then I already have a how to ship video, but it's been a while. So, I mean, my shipping's relatively the same, but there's a couple things that I want to add to that. How to deal with customers. I get a lot of questions on, you know, do you always use tracking when you ship? You know, I can talk about all those little things. And I think that'll be the first thing that I'm going to do. I'm still going to continue to open booster boxes and packs. For example, I have to open this. I'm not an investor. I'm not going to hold on to this and wait for it to be worth $300 and then sell it. That's just not what I like doing. So I'm still going to open cards. On top of that, non-card related stuff like Warhammer. I really got into Warhammer. Love painting it. I like playing it. Maybe I'll do some videos on that too. But all right, to avoid rambling, which I think I'm starting to do. Yeah. If you found this useful at all, just be sure to subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about what I said. What's your experience selling? Or if you're not doing it yet, did I scare you away? Did I encourage you? I just want to hear about it. Let's talk. I'm going to start really getting back into this. At least one video a week is going to be my goal. But I'll catch everyone next time.